Hey, so you ready for Star Wars Episode 7 now?
What? Is that what we saw?
No, we just got out of Guardians of the Galaxy, aka the CG tests for Star Wars Episode 7,
Yeah.
funded by Marvel.
It was a great beta.
It's a beta test of Star Wars Episode 7.
Yeah.
So yeah, we just got out of Guardians of the Galaxy. This is my second time seeing it. Your first time, because you're like, I want to go see Guardians. I'm like, well, if it's a matinee, I guess I'll go.
It was like a little over $5 for the tickets.
$5.75 to go see Guardians of the Galaxy again. So I'm like, fuck it.
I mean, it's like I had no interest in seeing it this early, but it's just like everyone at work was just like one stop talking about it. I was like, oh, Rocket Raccoon's the best part of that movie.
Well, we'll get into that, but first off, you were mentioning while the credits were rolling, which Marvel movies haven't you seen?
I haven't seen the first Captain America or the second one. I still haven't seen any of the Thor movies. So those are the ones.
Okay, so you basically have no idea what's going on at all. So, to kind of go into this, we're going to be doing a lot of spoilers, so I guess before we get into that, as a general recommendation, I'm going to say yes. Like, if you need a fix, and you don't need a sci-fi fix, and you don't want to wait until Star Wars Episode 7, I highly recommend going to see this movie, because I guarantee you the quality of things like CG in this movie are definitely going to be carried over into Episode 7, because this movie, visually, is beautiful. Lots of colors.
Yeah.
Lots of colors, which is something that I was so worried about, that this is going to be another one of these space movies where it's gray, or even worse. This is the kind of science fiction that I hate right here. All white, Apple white, Mac white. I hate the clean white. That's not what sci-fi is! It's not a Macintosh!
I guess everyone got stuck in that. I mean, I'm just trying to remember what was the movie that kind of pushed that. I mean, 2001 didn't do that, did it? I mean, I don't think it did.
Well, it did at the end, but that's more just because it looks weird.
Right.
But that's beside the point. Anyway, this movie's beautiful visually. It sounds great. I noticed in the credits that they had Skywalker Sound working on it, which I definitely noticed that there were Star Wars sound effects in this movie. But then again, Skywalker Sound does so many other movies that it's not limited to science fiction.
What I enjoyed most about this movie is the way they execute the comedy into this. I mean, it's like with Iron Man 3, the way they executed it in that was just terrible. I mean, and the jokes in there, I mean...
Well, Iron Man 3 is just a bad movie.
I'm just saying, though.
Yeah, Iron Man 3 sucked. I'm gonna get fucking hate for that, but... I don't. You know what? People hate on Iron Man 2. Iron Man 2 is better than Iron Man 3. In fact, Iron Man 2 is the best Iron Man movie. But
Tony Stark gets drunk. What?
Tony Stark continuously drinks. He's got palladium poisoning, and Mickey Rourke has plasma whips. Okay, it doesn't get much better than that. But getting back on topic, visually this movie's great. It sounds great. But going into what you said about the comedy, the second time around. This movie has genuinely funny moments, but if you revisit it, it's probably not going to work the same way as the first time that I saw it. First time I saw it, I was laughing my ass off. I thought that this movie was hilarious. Second time around, though, about half the jokes still worked. Some of them, like, there were people in our theater today that weren't even laughing at the jokes that I was laughing at Saturday night when I went to go see it. So, I don't know, maybe it's just because when we saw it was at 11 o'clock in the morning, or what, but still, it's still a pretty funny movie.
Yes.
Some great lines in here, like, I'm distracting you, you turd blossom!
This is what I like the most is where, the whole Star-Lord thing at the beginning that is like, no one knows him as Star-Lord, but then when it gets to like in the end of the movie, it
pays off in the end.
Star-Lord, finally,
yes.
Like he's getting recognition because he finally has his outlaw name known.
Yeah, cast is great. I didn't really know how I was going to feel about Batista being Drax the Destroyer. Considering that I don't really care what other people say, but pro wrestling is fucking stupid. I've never, ever, Well, I mean, save from like Macho Man Randy Savage because he's so over the top. Like, I can understand stuff like that, but you have people today like, oh God, what's his name? The internet keeps on making fun of him. John Cena, that's it. No, I'm not that big into pro wrestling, but I was legitimately surprised that Batista can actually act.
Yeah.
So, but then again, don't you have to act to be a pro wrestler?
It does involve some level of acting experience, I would say. I mean, because if you notice, like most of the wrestlers that you see, they make it the big time. They always kind of go with that acting route.
Like The Rock.
Yeah, The Rock, John Cena.
Do you smell what The Rock is cooking?
No. I heard
he's cooking Hercules and it's flopping.
I was gonna say I heard it smelled really bad. So,
but okay, so go see this movie. Look, if you saw the trailer for this movie and you said, "I want to see that movie," you're probably gonna think it's a good movie. If you saw the trailer for this and said, "I don't think that this looks like a good movie," you're probably not going to like this movie. Pretty much as simple as that. And this is the movie where I honestly think Marvel was taking the biggest gamble. Nobody knows who the Guardians of the Galaxy are. Everybody knows who Captain America, Thor, Iron Man, all of those, right. They're mainstays in that universe. Nobody knows who the Guardians of the Galaxy were or are. So, taking a huge gamble, and from the numbers so far, it is paying off.
I guess everyone has that level of humor that, you get out of this, so, I mean... I came for because I know there is humor in it, and I mainly came for the humor because I wanted to see how well they were going to do it, and to me, I think they accomplished what they were trying to set to do.
Oh yeah, definitely. So from here on out, nothing but spoilers. We open up the movie with young Chris Pratt in the hospital with his mother dying of cancer, and she passes, and then he gets abducted by aliens, or as I like to call it, Blue Michael Rooker, or
when I see him in this movie, when I'm used to seeing him in The Walking Dead, it threw me off.
Yeah,
it threw me off. I was like, wait, he's in this movie?
He's honestly perfect for that kind of role.
Yeah.
A bunch of people who just go around stealing shit. Mm-hmm. He's perfect for that kind of role where you just go around and you do nothing but steal things and the leader of a band of thieves. He was really good in this movie, and had that little arrow thing that he would whistle and it would kill people.
It was a very interesting weapon. I've never seen something like that before.
Yeah, I mean, with Guardians, I hardly know anything about them for them. I mean, I know who they are, but I've never actually picked up a Guardians book and read it. But I am familiar with who they are and what kind of things that they combat.
Yeah, I didn't hear anything about them before until the movie started, because I'm not really a big comic book guy, but it's just like I've started to see the movies, and I've gotten more interested into the characters, so it kind of makes me want to go back and read the comics now. So
that's called merchandising.
Yeah.
And that's something that Disney is very good at. But yeah, he gets abducted by Michael Rooker, 26 years pass, and he goes to a planet to find the MacGuffin, Ark of the Covenant, Maltese Falcon, which is actually what he calls it in the movie. So we got some kind of Ark of the Covenant Maltese Falcon thing, which houses an Infinity Gem, which, if I remember correctly, is the Soul Gem, which I can't remember for the life of me what that does. I could be wrong because Marvel has changed what the Infinity Stones do with the movies. I mean, you got the Tesseract, which may or may not be an Infinity Stone. We don't quite know yet. In Thor 2, you had the Ether, which is supposed to be the Power Stone, but did not take the shape of a stone. It was a floating liquid that almost was sentient. But then you didn't see that, so you have no idea what I'm talking about.
Here's my thing with it is, I mean, if they're supposed to be going on the Infinity Gauntlet, do they all have like different shapes that they can take? I mean,
I don't know. I reading Infinity Gauntlet, they're just stones that Thanos puts in a gauntlet.
Yeah, so it makes no sense to me because I read the trade, and I'm just looking at that, and I was looking, and the Tesseract was supposed to be one of the stones. I'm just like,
I don't know. I don't know. It could maybe not, because Marvel has been kind of confusing people as to whether they haven't said whether or not it is an Infinity Gem or not. Mm-hmm. But yeah, Loki definitely had the Mind Gem for the Avengers with his staff. That was pretty clear when he started taking over people's minds in the Avengers. So yeah, they're going after. They have to recover an orb which houses the Infinity Gem, and they have to deliver it to Benicio del Bowie, who is
Panic in Detroit.
yeah.
Panic in Detroit.
But before that, they get locked up in prison, which I would have to say is probably the slowest part of the movie. This movie is extremely exposition heavy because Marvel knows that nobody knows who any of these characters are. I mean, it introduces like Ronan the Accuser, which I have heard of, but I've never actually read anything with him in it.
I mean, to me, he looked like he was supposed to be like a Japanese samurai. I mean, like with his clothing, it almost looked like that. With sort of I guess like a medieval European look on the top or something like that. Like
yeah, something like nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition is.
The Spanish Inquisition. What?
Yeah, so basically, Lee Pace plays a drop pitch voiced blue guy with corpse paint and a hammer. Not like Thor's hammer, but a spiky hammer.
It's more of like a well-rounded war hammer, like it's one of those big ones instead of like that little mallet-looking one.
Yeah, Mjolnir like Thor.
Yeah.
I would have to say he's the weakest part of this movie because you're thrown into this movie with Ronan, and they just go, "Here's Ronan the Accuser. He's the bad guy."
Okay.
You don't really get much development other than he hates a peace treaty.
And
that's about it.
And he has history with Thanos. That's really all.
Well, he's just working for him to retrieve the stone, and then he gets greedy and uses the stone for himself because he has an agreement with Thanos that if he retrieves the stone and gives it to him, then he'll wipe out Xandar, which is the homeworld of the Nova Corps.
I don't even know what caused the war in the first place, you know? It's like...
Galactic Marvel, to me, is a mystery because I don't really read much Galactic Marvel. Dr. Steve Brule's in this movie. Hey, Star Prince! Star-Lord. It's okay. It's really cool to have a code name, don't worry. I was pleasantly surprised at the fact that they didn't try to hammer too much John C. Reilly in this movie. Mostly because I've been overexposed to Dr. Steve Brule.
Too much.
Yeah, overexposed. And, he just the perfect amount of John C. Reilly in this movie. You got Glenn Close as Nova Prime, that's another case of, hey, we're Marvel, we're going to hire a very, very good actor or actress, and they're only going to say less than 10 lines in the movie. But, hey, they're here, we got big names, because we make a lot of money and we can afford it. That's kind of how I feel about Benicio del Toro's character, the Collector, too. Because he was only in that movie for less than 5 minutes.
Right.
I was really expecting to see him more, but with what happens with his little place getting destroyed, hopefully we'll see a little bit more. But probably what you don't know, because you didn't see the end of Thor 2, is that they somehow are able to collect the ether, which is, as I said before, the Power Stone, and they give it to the Collector for him to keep.
So he's in more than just Guardians of the Galaxy, then?
Yeah, he was at the end of Thor 2.
Oh.
But other than that, that's it. So I'm trying to find it, because at the end of Thor 2, he gets that one, and I think he said 1 down, 5 to go, or something like that.
There's 5 gems?
I think so. I can't remember. Are there? Because there's one for each finger, and then there's one in the back of the gauntlet.
I think that might be.
I can't remember, but he's like 1 down, so many more to go. I can't remember off the top of my head. I think it's 5.
I mean, because right now it's just at this point, I guess just because I've missed so many movies, it's like I don't know what's supposed to be chronologically happening. It's like I'm right now. I'm lost in the lore. I'm lost.
Yep. That's why I'm like, why are you watching this if you haven't seen everything that was building up? Like, I guess that could be a potential problem with the Marvel movies, is that somebody has to watch them from the very beginning, from Iron Man back in, 2007, 2006?
Yeah, it's 2006.
Yeah, they have to go back 8 years worth of movies to start, and I
mean, do any of the Incredible Hulk movies take place in any of this?
Technically, the 2008 one does count. it's referenced.
Okay.
Edward Norton plays,
Right.
but they changed the actor because Edward Norton was apparently being a dick. So they just like, okay, well then we'll get Mark Ruffalo then.
It was sort of the same way with the guy who played Rhodey from Iron Man, because you notice from Iron Man 2 they switched the actor.
He wanted too much money. To come back.
And they pretty much said, well, we can make this movie without you. Because
and you know what? They replaced him with Don Cheadle, who I think is better. So
I honestly like Lawrence better in my opinion.
Well,
so
that's fine, but I still like Don Cheadle. He played Captain Planet once. I saw it on the internet.
Oh God.
But going back to Guardians, so yeah, speaking of Thanos, you totally see him in this movie. I'm like, finally! Which this would be the perfect movie to show Thanos off. He's not really in the movie much. I think it was just the right amount. But I feel like people who haven't read the comic books and have no idea what this is leading up to are completely lost when dealing with Thanos. He's kind of like Emperor Palpatine in the Star Wars movies. He's just kind of hanging out in the background. He even has a badass chair, like Palpatine did.
That floats in the air.
Yeah, it floats. He has a floating chair. He's like M. Bison now. He has a floating chair.
Of course!
Of course. So, a perfect amount of Thanos in this movie. At Comic-Con, I think it was announced that Josh Brolin is playing Thanos.
Yeah, because he came out with the gauntlet.
Yeah, he came out with a rubber Infinity Gauntlet, and I'm just like... I'm not exactly sure if he was actually playing Thanos
he plays
in this
the
movie,
voice at least. He plays the voice.
because in the credits, Thanos isn't even listed, which I can understand that, but I'm not sure if he's actually playing...
From when I was doing my research, because as soon as I heard that Brolin was the one doing, supposed to be Thanos, from what I read, he's just supposed to be the voice. He's not actually doing
Well, yeah, because he's a CG character.
Right.
Because the guy's like 9 feet tall and purple and has this huge jaw.
That seems to be common in most comic book.
Yes, they're pretty much staying true to that. The design of Thanos. I don't... Where are we at now? I mean, we've been jumping all over the place.
We got to the part where they're in the prison, and then they...
Oh, God. Well, kind of went... The prison part, I felt like that's the weakest part of the movie.
Right.
It's...
And then they go and they see the Collector, and then they get blown up because Batista decides, hey, I'm going to call Ronan.
I'm going to call Ronan here because I'm drunk.
The whole part with them drunk was funny.
Yeah, that was... What are we supposed to do here? Just next scene, they're getting...
You called me a rodent!
Yeah, and
then they Ronan gets the stone. He says
fuck you, Thanos.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do it myself.
Then he gets glowing purple eyes, and then he goes to try to attack. I'm sorry, I keep forgetting the planet's name.
Xandar. See, I can remember that, but I can't remember where we're at in the movie. And I've seen it twice.
And then Peter's buddy, who was trying to kill him and now captures them, and they decide to try to make a plan to where they all go to Xandar and stop.
Yeah, and defend the Nova Corps.
Yeah.
They got my dick message. Also, that picture of Chris Pratt when he's calling John C. Reilly at his house, that thumbnail where you're just like, I want that thumbnail so bad. The picture is perfect. And you know what the best part? I don't even know who Chris Pratt is, but he was pretty damn good in this movie. He was pretty funny. I guess he's on a show called Parks and Recreation, but I've never seen that show because I don't really watch TV. But he was great in this movie. Like I said before, Batista was fine. Zoe Saldana is trying to have a goal to be in every major sci-fi franchise ever. I wouldn't be surprised if she somehow pops up in Star Wars now, because she's already been in the Marvel Universe.
And what Vin Diesel does with Groot, I like it, because how, like, each pitch is supposed to represent a certain, what he's trying to say.
I am Groot.
And then Rocket is the only one who can translate.
Yeah, which they don't really play too heavy on that in the movie. There's only a few scenes with that. But Bradley Cooper as Rocket definitely took me by surprise, because I don't really think of anything notable with Bradley Cooper in it, but I kind of fear that Rocket stole the show in a team movie, which can be a problem in the future because I hope that Guardians 2 doesn't try to play him up more. I think right now it was kind of at that limit where it's like if you do any more, then it's just going to turn into a Rocket Raccoon movie.
Yeah, I mean, but I will commend Brad for doing a good job with Rocket, because I could barely tell it was him by his voice. They changed his voice so much, because I'm still used to hearing, because the first time I ever saw him was in this show called Touching Evil that was out like back in, I think it was like 2003 or 2004, which it didn't last long. And then the next time I saw him was The Hangover, and I'm used to him being that down as luck guy or whatever, and then he becomes and does Rocket Raccoon. I'm just like, this is a polar opposite of you, Brad. Good job.
Well, the quality of the CG in this movie is really good, too. Like, it is very difficult to pull off 100% CG characters and have them believable, and they did that twice.
Yeah.
And
the environments look great, too.
Yeah, like I said before, this movie, visually, it's very pretty. You can have anything ranging from Xandar, which has a very clean sci-fi look, not quite Apple look, but a very clean, and then you go from there to somewhere like Nowhere, where the Collector's at, which is like this dirty, reminds me of Omega from Mass Effect 2, where there are people that are covered in dirt, all of this, and you get a wide range of sci-fi environments in this movie, which I think is good.
And the prison looked kind of rusty, too.
It looked like a prison that hadn't been serviced in over 20 years. So you definitely get a props to the visual effects department in this movie. Usually I'm a big proponent of practical effects over CG, but yeah, I can understand this movie being primarily CG. I mean, you're trying to put a talking tree and a raccoon in a movie, trying to put two people in a suit doing that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it just goes to show how far CG has come. I mean, I know that a lot of people will stand by practical effects until the day they die, but I see CG as being more useful.
If this movie was made 30 years ago, it would be a midget in a raccoon suit, and it would be somebody like Peter Mayhew dressed up as a tree.
Right.
That's what Guardians of the Galaxy would have been back in the early 80s.
What it could have been. Which
is what this movie really reminded me of. It was a nice callback to late 70s, early 80s sci-fi, which, I'm a real sucker for. Great all-around movie. The end of this movie with... I'm distracting you, you turd blossom! That's perfect. Yes. Absolutely perfect.
Yeah, because it's just the whole dance and then that comes up. But it's just what you get after the credits.
Well, before we get to that, the space battle, I guess you could call it. It's very nice tech demo for Star Wars Episode 7. It looked really good. It reminded me of a Star Wars space battle.
Like I said, it's a beta, man.
And it's really good. So yeah, you want to go right to after credits?
Unless there's something else you want to touch upon before we hit that sour spot, I guess. I mean,
I feel like the villains in this movie weren't really that good. I didn't really care much for Ronan because he was underdeveloped, and I thought Nebula was fucking annoying. I don't really know why they played her up so much. I don't even remember who Nebula is from the comics. Was she even in Infinity Gauntlet?
No.
I don't even remember if she was in Infinity Gauntlet.
It's like, I still remember, Ronan, but I don't remember any quality, any good characteristics with Nebula. It's like, I could care less about this.
Yeah, she was more of a nuisance. She just kind of showed up and was yelling a lot.
To me, it's sort of the way I felt with the Mandarin.
Well,
not
Guy Pearce.
Not Guy Pearce. The other
one. Ben Kingsley, Sir Ben Kingsley. My name is Trevor. He drinks Pabst Blue Ribbon. The Mandarin, everybody. But, the villains in this movie aren't very good, which is a pretty big contrast to Captain America 2, which I feel like is the best Marvel movie to ever come out. Like, Captain America 2, it was so good that I feel like that Avengers 2 is definitely going to have to upstage that somehow. I think it will, but easily Captain America 2 was the best Marvel movie to come out this year, with this being a close second, because this was a really good movie.
I mean, until I see the Captain America 2, this is right now my favorite out of all the Marvel stuff right now, but everyone, I mean, you keep saying Captain America 2 is worth watching, so I will try that.
Think of it like this. Captain America 2 is Metal Gear Solid 2 and GoldenEye taking place in the Marvel Universe.
Sean Bean in it at all?
No.
Ah, darn it! It's not fulfilling!
It's not fulfilling. Sean Bean's not dying in it.
No.
What, is Robert Redford being in the movie too much for you? Again, that was another case of, hey, we're Marvel, we have money, let's put a very prestigious actor in a movie and barely give him... Well, he had more to do in this movie than Glenn Close did.
They need the retirement fund. That's what they need. Well,
I wouldn't necessarily say that. They're both highly successful actors and actresses. So, yeah, this is a very good movie. Definitely, I like Captain America 2 more, but that's not to say that this was not a good movie at all.
Right.
Definitely second best Marvel movie to come out this year, with Amazing Spider-Man 2 being the worst.
Yeah, I mean, everyone, all in all, I've seen the reviews and what I've heard from people. I mean, there's only like the small selection of people out there who say that Spider-Man 2 was a decent movie.
Yeah, that movie's bullshit. It's like the Batman and Robin of the Marvel Universe. It's pretty bad. I'm probably gonna get flack for saying that too. But Gwen Stacy, I don't care. Okay, it took us how many hours to get to that? Yeah, I recommend this movie. It's good.
It's just, really good. And it's a summer blockbuster.
Yeah, well, it's August.
It's still summer. I'm still sweating my ass off here.
Well,
okay.
Well, it's 90 degrees 11 months out of the year here, so.
Which is why I hate Florida.
Yeah. So you want to talk about post credits now and that fucking bullshit?
Howard the fucking Duck.
You heard it here first, folks. Probably not first. Everybody probably knows.
Yeah.
Yeah. Howard the Duck.
What do you let that thing lick you for?
Apparently, like, Howard the Duck is from New York now. What do you let that thing lick you for? It's kind of gross.
Oh,
yeah, burns going down.
Are they drinking like tequila or something? Because it looks like a tequila cup.
I guess the collector was keeping Howard the Duck locked up in his building for who knows how long.
Oh, man.
I hope that was just like a one-time thing, and we're never going to see Howard the Duck again. And if we do, I hope it's just a little small thing like that. I felt like the end credit sequence probably could have been something else besides Howard the Duck, but...
I mean, which do you think is better, Howard the Duck or the end credits after the Avengers? Which one? I mean, they're both kind of...
Well, the end credits after the Avengers is the other talking to Thanos.
Well, because the one I'm thinking of is when they're in that shop and they're...
That's fine. But, I mean, you look at the two end credit sequences for this movie, you have Groot dancing to the Jackson 5, which I thought was, yeah, it's pretty good, it's pretty cute, and then you get Howard the Duck, and with the Avengers you had the shawarma thing, but you also had the other being like, these humans are not to be trifled with, they could become troublesome in the future, and then Thanos just looks over his shoulder and smiles, and I'm like, that's awesome!
And the way, because I've noticed the facial features from Avengers and here.
Oh, it's changed.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It was definitely one of the highlights of the movie is Thanos sitting on his throne when he dismisses Ronan, and then he just smiles.
Yeah.
And he gives that Thanos smile, and I'm just like, yes! I have to wait until, like, 2018 to see this.
2018, that's, let's see, that's 4 years.
But, this is the last Marvel movie before Avengers 2 comes out. I was honestly hoping to see something Avengers 2 related with that end sequence.
Mm.
Like maybe something with Ultron or... Well, then again, Captain America 2 kind of set up half of...
Which I mean, don't spoil it, man.
Well, I mean, it's not really that big of a spoiler because everybody already knows what's in that end sequence.
I know.
Well, I mean, if you've looked at anything from Avengers 2, you know that those two characters are in it. It shows you Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch.
Okay. Which
sets up Avengers 2, which is kind of surprising to me because Marvel Studios does not own the rights to Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch because they're X-Men characters. So they're going to have to tread lightly when it comes to what those characters can do and where they came from, which I imagine they've already got something pretty creative in store. But yeah, definitely go see this movie. Really good. Highly recommend it. It's getting like a 92% on Rotten Tomatoes with a 96% of audience liking it. It is well deserved. Hell, I gave my money to Marvel twice for it. So definitely check this movie out, guys. It's really good.
Yeah, because I definitely gonna buy it on Blu-ray once it comes out. Because
It's funny. I haven't bought any of the Marvel movies, and
I have Iron Man 2.
yeah, I don't have any of them on home video, which is weird because I kind of feel like when I watch these movies, I remember them so much because they're big notable events. That I don't really need to go back and watch them again. Like, what was the what's another Marvel movie I've seen twice in the theater? I saw Avengers twice.
I've only seen.
I've seen Guardians twice now. That's it. Those are the only two I've seen twice. But I've seen it. I think I started watching these movies in theaters when Iron Man 2 happened. And from there, I've just been watching them. So, but yeah, really good movie. Really good.
And that was a horn.
Yeah, that was a horn because we film in a parking lot at 1:30 in the afternoon.
Because we have nothing else better to do.
What's that supposed to mean?
What do you mean?
Trying to say that I don't do anything?
Maybe. What you gonna do about it, brother?
Yeah, we'll talk about this off camera. See you later, guys.